Do you want your children to be happy and successful in their lives? Do you want them to be able to maintain strong and healthy relationships? In this video, we give you tools and tips to help you improve your parenting and increase your child's ability to be emotionally sound. I'm Jasmine, and welcome back to Unpacking. Today we will be exploring the topic of social emotional development. But what is social emotional development? This is how your child interacts with others and how they handle their emotions. Three main questions that we want to ask when we're exploring this is, who is your child? Really get to know who are they as people. What do they like? What are their interests? What are they extremely good at? The second is to teach them how to interact with other people, to form strong relationships, and most importantly, how to handle conflict effectively. The third question is, what emotion are they feeling in that moment? How can they identify it? And then what tools do they have to be able to navigate through it? Independence is key. Getting your children to be independent for themselves is something that you really want to encourage. Now, how do you do this? Of course, when children are little, they require a lot of interaction from us. They need us to help them eat. They need us to help them get dressed. But age appropriately, you're going to create these tasks around ways that they can be independent for themselves. A small example would be if your child is trying to climb up onto the couch. Don't go and assist them. You can be there as a support, and if they need your help, then obviously you want to give it. So you're there encouraging the whole time, but ultimately allowing them to learn to pull themselves up onto the couch and then congratulating them on the fact that they've achieved it on their own is one way that you can create independence in your child. As they get older, these tasks will change and it will become more age appropriate for their task. You really want to allow your children to be bored. So a nice thing to say when they say, "Mom, I'm very bored," or "Dad, I'm bored," you can say, "Well, this is amazing because this gives you the opportunity to be creative. I can't wait to see what you're going to create or what game you're going to come up with." They will go off and they will create something amazing in that time. In psychology, we have a term called internal locus of control or an external locus of control. This sounds like a very complicated term, but all it means is that you can take responsibility for A, your actions, and B, the consequences of those actions. For example, if you're an adult and you arrive late somewhere, you can say, "I'm sorry, I take responsibility, I am late." If you have an external locus of control, it means that you will blame something external to you for causing what your behavior or the consequence was. So it's not my fault I was late, the alarm didn't go off. It's not my fault there was traffic on the road. It's not my fault that the lights weren't working. If you have a strong sense of internal locus of control or responsibility for your actions, you get to change your actions, thus changing the outcome or the consequence. This is important if you want your child to take control of their actions and their behavior. Do you find that it's easier to learn something if you are able to watch somebody else do it first? Well, this is how children do that. Monkey see, monkey do. We are literally modeling our behavior to our children all the time. We know from doing lots of trauma-based research that the more strong an emotion is felt, the more ingrained a memory or a response becomes in that person's body. So if you have a very intense emotional response to your child, that is what they are going to remember, and thus they will mimic it when they come along or experience something similar in their lives. If you have that knowledge, you now know, okay, let me step back. Let me take 2 seconds to collect myself. What emotion is coming up for me when my child is doing this kind of behavior? I'm feeling very angry. I'm feeling very out of control. That must also be how they're feeling. So you're going to hinder your emotions in that moment, come down to our level and express to them what they are potentially feeling. I can see that you are feeling very angry in this moment. I'm sure that this is very difficult for you. You are going to express the emotion that they are feeling in that moment to them, and then model behavior on how they can release that emotion. When mommy is feeling really angry, I love to jump up and down, or I love to go for a run. Would you like to do a jumping jack with me? Let's see if it can make us feel a little bit less angry in this moment. Emotional and social needs are much easier to develop when we have our basic needs met. What are basic needs? I'm talking about eating, sleeping, getting enough nutrition, and being stimulated in order to do something. These are things that we all require for our bodies to be optimal and for our brains to learn new information. If you are hungry or tired, you cannot perform your job properly. It is the same for children. They require these 4 basic things in order to ensure that they can develop optimally. Another need that our children have is the need to feel safe. If a child does not feel safe, they will go into a flight or fight response. Safety is a big one in childhood. Many studies show us that the brain can absorb much more information and develop much more optimally if a person or a child is in a safe environment. If they go into a high stress environment, they end up in a stress state. That means that hormone levels rise and block off any sort of functioning that allows them to develop mentally, and it pulls them back into a very strong survival state. One of the best ways to pull your child out of a stress state is play and laughter. Laughter is shown to really improve sleep and immune system capacity. So, what can you play with your child and how much can you get them to laugh? This isn't talking about fake laughter, it's really getting your child to enjoy something with you, and 90% of the time you'll end up laughing too, and you'll both have decreased stress levels. Movement is key for children. There are many studies based on movement as a form of learning and brain development. Movement directly correlates to more neural connections. The more your child moves, the more efficient their brain will be, the more neural connections, which means little networks in the brain filtering new ways of thinking. So more connection equals more movement. As your child is moving, it's important that they become aware of their own bodies and everything that is around them. So if your child is running, make them aware of the tree branch that is sticking out so that they do not fall and hurt themselves and trip over that branch. Awareness is key to them learning to be empathic and compassionate to other people. So increase their awareness of their bodies, their own personal space, and people around them. There is something called punishment and consequence. Those two are vastly different. Punishment is when there is a pain or a severe penalty for something that you have done. Consequence is where there is a natural consequence or something that occurs based on the behavior that was created. Now, you want your child to learn consequence because consequence shows them that their actions lead to a specific outcome. And to get them to a point where they go, do I want to create this action because do I want that outcome? So am I going to jump off of the top ledge of something and fall down and break my arm? No, because then I can't attend my own birthday party and I'm going to be in a cast for 6 months, 6 weeks, whatever it may be. Punishment is, I'm going to hurt you if you make a mistake or if you do something wrong. That is huge when we're talking about children growing up. In no way are we saying don't discipline the child, but we are looking at what consequence can follow the behavior that is a natural consequence. So, if the child breaks a window, they will have to replace the window based on their pocket money, which means that those 2 months of pocket money go towards the window, depending of course on how much pocket money they get. But they've learned a natural consequence for a behavior that they did, and they had to take responsibility for it. If they get TV time taken away because they broke the window, the consequence and the action they did don't correlate. It leaves a lot of confusion for the child because they don't quite know what behavior then links to consequence. The other aspect is that if you punish very harshly, we are talking about punishment where you are extremely angry, you might hit your child, or you might become slightly hateful towards them, because it can be done with words as well. They then learn that anger is normal and lashing out when we're angry is normal. So I can hit my sibling if I'm angry, and I can really hurt them, because my mom gets really angry when I do something that she doesn't like, and mom hits me. They learn to understand that if I'm angry, I get to hurt somebody or inflict pain. So a few tips when working with your child. Always remember to be truthful to your word. Children enjoy being able to trust you. So the more that you stick to what you say you're going to do, the more they feel trustworthy of you. The second would be to keep praising them. Praise them for the things that they do achieve. Focus on the good things and the outcome or the behaviors that you would like to continue them doing. Be sure to use your child's name. Give them their own personal identity. And when they are talking to you, make direct eye contact. Either come down to their level or allow them to sit on your lap and process thoughts with you. Use no sparingly. The average American child hears no over 400 to 4,000 times a day. That is a lot of being told no. You want your child to really understand and believe that when you say no, you mean it. So only use it in life-threatening situations, or if you absolutely mean that the child cannot do something. Always give your child notice when you are going to leave and when you are going to return. Make sure that you say goodbye to them, and that when you give them an accurate time frame of when you will return. If you just tend to leave and the child is not aware that you're going to leave, it makes them feel vulnerable and uncomfortable. Remember to give your child limited choices. So, would you like spaghetti or would you like macaroni? However, you have told them that we are very clearly having pasta tonight, so they don't get to choose and have that responsibility to make the choice of what the whole house is going to eat, but they get the limited choice to say, is it spaghetti or is it macaroni? The other great thing to do with your children is to always use your manners. Please, can you take this away? Thank you for doing that for me. It just becomes something that they will learn and reciprocate to you in return. Social emotional development, the way that our child handles their emotions and the way that they interact with others, is vital for their own happiness and their own success one day. The tips and tools in this video are examples of everyday struggles that you could shift slightly to help improve your child's social emotional development. Remember, independence is key. Help them and assist them. Praise them to become independent little children who are aware of their own feelings, how to navigate those feelings, and how to interact with others. The last thing that I would encourage you to think about is your behavior and reactions in situations. Remember, children are always watching us, how we handle conflict, how we interact with other people, and how we handle our own emotions. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. It helps us to grow and create greater content for everybody to receive. If you also would like any information on additional content, please just leave us a comment and we will see who and how we can create that.